My personal choice, I really like this. I think it looks nice. I haven't really experimented too much with paint, but I will. At the moment, I do like the paint and primer mix of this right here, the Rust-Oleum. Sorry, it's a little dirty. I've been using it a couple times. I've used this on a couple of other cars and mine, and it seems to work and last much longer than I'm sure most of you know Plasti Dip. I find that I'm not too crazy about the matte look anymore. That's what Plasti Dip does. So, you know, you can get these in a nice like gloss. It might even be a different brand, but if you do the paint and primer, I find that it sticks really well, it dries fast, and looks very nice. So if you're looking for something kind of permanent, right here. But make sure you know what you're doing. So if you want to start off with Plasti Dip and you're like, oh fuck, like, you know, I do it a couple times with Plasti Dip, you can always peel it off, clean it off a little bit, and then do a little bit of paint. So if you guys are starting off, I would suggest that. Oh, and last but not least, of course, painter's tape. You guys know I obviously tape down everything so you don't splatter everywhere. And then of course, I will be putting a layer of tape around the emblem to just as a little base protection. So we're gonna do that first. But anyways, yeah, let's get started. All right guys, so this is my car. This is my wheel. This is what we're working with right here. So what I'm gonna do first, and I'm gonna show you right after I do it, I'm going to put our base layer of tape around it. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. So basically, I take little chunks of tape at a time, basically get as tight around the edges as you possibly can. If you have to do smaller pieces, do that, because you do want to get inside these little crevices right here, because you don't want overspray obviously on the black. I am doing it white, so putting it over a black steering wheel is not going to look good if you do some overspray. So I am very detailed with this, and again, painter's tape is very easy to maneuver with. So make sure when you stick the tape on there, get something like I said. With this, it's easier. You can get the blade kind of in between those cracks and stick it in there. Obviously, I can't really do this because I'm doing it vlog style, but I'll show you when it's done what it looks like. All right, guys, so I did finish doing the base of the tape here. As you can see, it is very detailed in the cracks of it. Looks like I need to fix right there just a hair. But again, I did do little tiny increments of the tape and then just kind of pushed it in there as firm as I possibly can, and especially around, you know, right there in the crevice and cracks. And it's not going to look pretty. It's not supposed to look pretty, obviously. As you can see, little small tapes were used. So the next step is going to be covering the entire steering wheel, covering over here, and behind the steering wheel. So I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, so here is my not so professional setup here, but hey, it works. I find that nothing gets on there just because I'm not very messy on it. If you guys are first timers at this, I would definitely do that. So basically, I cover it up to the window a bit. Make sure that you stick the tape to the window, because I find on most vehicles it does not stick to the dashboard. So if you're having trouble with that, stick it to the window. So I have all behind there, and basically next I'm going to be covering up the rest of the steering wheel, so don't worry about that right now. But I do have the side of the door covered. Trash bags work the best because obviously they're trash bags. I don't worry about that chair either because I never seem to have a problem, or that door panel. Just the immediate area around here. But yeah, that's what it should look like around there. If you are worried about messes, I'd go a little bit higher. But yeah, I'll see you in just a sec. Don't mind the red, that is from a previous car that I did a red emblem on. So here it is, completely covered. As you can see, the only thing we do have left to do is in between the Nissan symbol itself, which again, I will be back to show you guys that. But this is the entire covering of the steering wheel. And again, I love this paper for this because it works wonders. You can maneuver it easily, you can cut it easily. Make sure, so I did 4 pieces here. 1, 2, 3, before. Make sure when you do the 2 top layers, however you do it, put a piece of tape on the extra flaps here, because I do find when you do spray it, it does go into the nooks and crannies like this. So you want to have that kind of tape down, especially if you're doing this outside. The wind's going to flap a little bit because, you know, obviously you're doing this in your car, you're wearing your windows down. Do not breathe in the paint. Don't breathe in the paint. So, make sure you have your windows down. I don't have them down too much right now just because I'm still working on this. But this is general broad area, what it should look like. A piece here on my lap, because obviously I'm going to sit here when I do this. Oh yeah, I'll show you the completed symbol in just a sec. Okay, so I did forget to mention, so for in between right here, so obviously I don't want this part right here to be white. We just want the chrome. So what I do is I lightly stick a piece of tape on there, right? And then with my pinky, you're gonna push down on the edges of where the little crevice is. Obviously each symbol is different, but it's kind of up to you of what you don't want to be colored. So push down on these little nooks and crannies right here. Make sure that it is very tight. So lift it up on the sides just a hair and squish it down all the way like that. Okay, and especially around rounded corners, because remember, we're going to be cutting this out. So it should look pretty tight on the corners and crevices like that. Okay, and then all you are going to do, take the blade and cut around the edges. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. Unless you have like a super sharp blade, you're gonna get like little tiny little shreds like that. It's fine. It's not gonna affect the paint. Next is gonna be the paint. Shake it up really good because it is the paint and primer mix. A little ASMR for you guys. Are you tired yet? Just kidding. All right. So what I find best for this technique is don't hold it here. Don't hold it here. Hold it about a foot away and just glide one streak. And then glide one streak the other way, a little bit lower. So 1, 2, and then let it dry. The first coat is always gonna be just a hair patchy. By the second coat, it looks a lot better. If you wanna do a third coat because still not happy with the way it looks, then do that. That's all up to you, or how many coats you wanna do, depending on what type of paint you use. I find with just 2 coats of this, it looks great. Sometimes 3, depending on kind of what color. So white is a little bit harder to cover. Red was really easy with 2, black is really easy with 2. We'll see how white does on chrome for that, but obviously I've done it to this car. I'm gonna give it one little streak. Be right back. But one last thing, guys. Please make sure your windows are rolled all the way down. Do not suffocate yourself. I gotta roll that one down just a little bit because I stuck this to it. Readjust your stickies, but do not chemical poison yourself. Have your backs down a bit too. That also helps. That is our first coat. As you can see, there's like little tiny things here and there that I'm not quite satisfied with because obviously it is, see, we got a little discoloration still because it is the first coat. So again, you guys don't get discouraged with the first coat. Second and third is always best, but this is gonna look pretty good with my steering wheel, if I must say. My steering wheel's black and white, so all right. When it's time for the second coat, I will show you guys what the second coat looks like. Give this a good 20 to 30 minutes before putting the second coat on, just because, see what I mean by like the little tiny after spray right here? Kind of gets all over the place. It really doesn't go too far, to be honest. I went to maybe about here. So, but again, I'm pretty persistent on what I'm doing. Give it about 20-30 minutes before putting on the second coat, because obviously you don't want it smearing and stuff, so that would suck. But I'm gonna clean and I'll be right back with the second coat. That is the second coat. Looking pretty good. Gotta let that fully dry, and especially now that we did the second coat, I would give it 45 minutes to an hour. And then when you remove these little pieces right here, take the blade, stick the blade in a little crevice on the corner, and lift up the little piece that's in the area that's still gonna be black there, the area we covered up with tape, and then remove everything else. There's no particular order how to do it, But that is the final look. I'm gonna go with 2 coats because to me that looks pretty solid. A little up and down view looks pretty solid to me. I'll show you guys later the complete and final cleaned up. Hey guys, here's the finished look. It doesn't want to focus on it. This steering wheel cover to go with it, so it totally matches the white with white. Again, this is not completely dry. I gave it about 45 minutes before I took everything off. That is the finished product right there. So basically when you're done, there's gonna be, obviously you're gonna see little tiny teeny imperfections, like for me, like in that little tiny corner right there. In this little tiny corner, I'm not touching it because it's still kind of drying. It covered the Nissan word pretty well, so I'm happy with that. And the edges on the outside look pretty clean. Usually what happens is you have to kind of clean the edges, like right there. It's kind of bothering me. Literally, this thing is like a godsend when it comes to the edges. So I'm not gonna touch it because I'm not up and close on it, but just to kind of scrape away little tiny bits here and there that you find are annoying. But that is it. That is the finished product. I hope you guys liked this video. I will be doing, I have one of my first customers actually this weekend, so that will be cool.